just get into the intro music all the time. I love that slow R&B type of jazz vibe. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this edition of the MEAC and More with your boy Chris Stevens. Hopefully you all are doing well out there. It is 55 degrees and raining in Wilmington, Delaware. Like, why did I have to turn my heat on this morning on May 21st? Is this what it's like living in Canada? I don't know. You tell me. But if you are new to this side of town, this is the MEAC and More podcast, where I, Chris Stevens, a Delaware State alum and someone who's pretty much familiar with the MEAC, talks about the MEAC and more, which of course includes Hampton, North Carolina A&T, and the Coastal Athletic Conference, and Tennessee State in the Big South OVC. Before we get to that, this podcast, this edition of the MEAC and More is sponsored by Chris 2 Cents. Yes, my podcast, Chris Stevens 2 Cents, is my YouTube channel, my official YouTube channel, where I discuss all things writing, career related, and personal health and growth. As I'm, going through some weight loss journeys and trials right now, you guys can go ahead and subscribe to that particular channel at your very leisure. Whenever you get the chance, you won't be disappointed. I have guests on at intermittent times, but usually it's just me talking about life and stuff in general, as far as my writing career and different things like that go. So be sure to subscribe to my personal YouTube channel, so you can get more of the stuff that I like to talk about outside of sports. I mean, I love talking about sports, but if you want to hear my thoughts on things outside of sports, subscribe to my YouTube channel, tune in, you won't be disappointed. All right. So as this show's teaser suggests, the the college and sports, academic year is just about over with, and the MEAC has had a pretty good year for the most part. We've seen some teams do some things in conference tournaments. They've won matches and games against, mid-major competition, Power Fives, and all of that. So what we are doing today is we are going to rank the MEAC programs 1 through 8. Now, if you guys are golf nuts and you remember the modified Stableford scoring system, well, the way we're going to do this is we're going to do this with the modified Stevens scoring system. And this is what it's going to consist of: the front porch score. Now, the front porch score is when we talk about the front porch of your sports programs in college, we're talking about basketball and football. So we're going to be combining football and basketball win totals. And of course, we have two schools that don't play football and basketball, so that hurts them a little bit, but they made up for it in other areas. Our second metric is the standout score. So the standout score is how many of your players made all conference teams and how many of your coaches won coach of the year honors and all of that good stuff. And the championship score is how many times you participated in or won a conference championship. And then we'll total that all up, and that's how we get our final score. Shouts out to Silas Edward McMorris. Thanks for tuning in, brother. Greatly appreciate you. So let's get started, shall we? Let's go ahead and bring up our 8th place team, unfortunately, and that would be the Maryland Eastern Shore Fighting Hawks. Now, you have to remember, UMES does not have a football team, has not had a football team since 1979. So we can't hold that against them, but the front porch score for basketball is a total of 19. And their standout score for all of their conference athletes only added up to 16. So, and they didn't appear in a championship game. So their total is 35. Now, as someone who remembers the days of Delaware State and UMES actually going at each other on the basketball floor, I'm not old enough to remember football, but I know the football rivalry back in the 60s and 70s was heavy duty business. UMES is one of those schools that's in is in a catch-22 type of situation. Like they don't have the football aspect to draw them to Division II, but they don't have anything to keep them in Division I long term at the moment, even though they've been in Division I for 45 years. So it's tough for UMES because you're in an area of Maryland where Salisbury University just took over by the middle of the 1980s. And Salisbury is a Division III school, but I'm not going to sit here and say that Salisbury has a better campus than UMES because that's BS. But Salisbury has done a better job of maintaining their athletic programs for the most part. So a lot of kids that would have liked to go Division 1 or Division 2 will just settle for Division 3 because Salisbury is pretty much a Division 1 school with a Division 3 budget. So that's why UMES loses a lot of kids down on that Eastern Shore area, near the canal and all of that. So our 8th place team is UMES. 7th place, believe me, it brings me no pleasure saying this, but Delaware State University is number 7 in our metric. Their front porch score is 22. You had 16 men's basketball wins, 5 women's basketball wins, and 1 football win. So yeah, football team hasn't really been holding up its end of the bargain, man. We've talked about this time and time again. Hopefully it changed. Shouts out to the boss, man. Kim Rashad checking in. Yeah, go Hornets, right? But yes, 16 wins for men's basketball, 5 wins for women's basketball, and 1 single solitary win for football. Hopefully that changes with Deshaun Jackson in charge. That's all I got. Standout scorer, we had 21 players and coaches across the school make all conference teams. And the championship score, they actually have a championship score, which is surprising, is 1. They won the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference Volleyball Championship, which of course was hosted at Delaware State University. Since this is the second time in 3 years that DSU has won the volleyball championship on their home floor, I can say with certainty that we will all have passed on to whatever is the next spiritual realm or whatever by the time Delaware State gets to host another MEAC volleyball championship. I can guarantee you that. Oh, let's see. Silas says, I read somewhere that some alumni or another Maryland Eastern Shore group is trying to bring football back. I don't think that's going to happen because when you think about it, UMES was broke trying to put a football team on the field in the late 1970s. There was a story in the Washington Post archives where the athletic director, William Hitch, said that players were actually sharing shoes. Like one player would come off the field, give another player his shoes. This was 1979. And the budget for UMES football in 1979 was $99,000. You can adjust for inflation and pretty much guarantee that UMES is not going to bring football back unless they go to Division 2. Maybe, possibly. But yes, Delaware State is our number 7 school. And number 6 is the Coppin State Eagles. Again, this is a team without a football program. So that hurts their front porch score, but their front porch score is still a respectable 25. The Coppin State women had a pretty good season. They won 19 games, and the Coppin State men won 6. That's where your 25 comes in. Their standout score is 22 for all MEAC teams across the board, making all conference teams. And of course, their championship score is 0. So we get them to 47. All right. Next up, coming in at number 6. Wait. Hold on. Am I missing a school? Let's see. UMES Central. No, I'm not. All right, I'm sorry. So Morgan State is actually coming in at number 5, pardon me. So yes, their front porch score is 33. They won 6 football games and 27 games of wins, 27 wins split up between the men's and women's basketball programs. Their standout score is 26. Of course, they didn't participate in any championship games. So their total is 59. Not bad. I mean, I feel like the Morgan State football team is destined for greater things, and I think the basketball programs are going to come along as well. And I think the softball team, if this was if I had done this last year, their softball team probably would have given them a higher score, considering that they, were in the MEAC championship game. So number 4, starting the top half of our list, and the top 4 is not going to be a surprise to anybody because they've always been the top 4 in recent memory, is North Carolina Central Eagles. The Eagles' front porch score is 35. The football team won 8 games, and the women's basketball team won 14 games, and the men won 13. So that's where your 8 plus 13 plus 14 is 35. Standout score for all conference teams and coach honors, 46. No championship game for the Bison. For the Bison, giveaway for the Eagles. So their total is 81. Next up, 3rd on the list, the South Carolina State Bulldogs. Now, South Carolina State had a phenomenal year. Their front porch score is 31. The football team won the MEAC. That's 9 wins. The the South Carolina State men won 20 games and made the championship game for the first time since 2003. 2003. I was at Delaware State at the time. We were actually supposed to be in the MEAC championship game that year, but Miles Davis got hit in the man region by Gail Goodrich's son, believe it or not, in one of those quarterfinal games. I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. Like, this dude literally just punched Miles in the Miles Davis family jewels, and that ruined Delaware State's chances of winning the MEAC. I will always say that 2003 was supposed to be our year. Didn't work out. Whatever. But yes, they also their standout score was pretty high. They had the women's softball player of the year in Taylor Ames Alexander. They also, their championship game score is 5, considering they won both ends of the tennis championship. They participated in the men's basketball championship. They won the MEAC in football, and they participated in the women's softball championship. So that's 5. So that's how you get your total of 81. Next up, coming in at number 2, surprisingly, is Howard. Howard had a great year as well because they won in just about everything that wasn't a front porch sport. But their front porch sport wasn't bad. Score wasn't bad. 4 wins for football, 22 for women's basketball, making it to the MEAC championship game, and 12 for men's basketball in a down year for them. So that's 38. They had a ton of all-conference honors. Remember, Howard also participates in the Northeast Conference and several other sports. So that is why they have 104. They have the largest standout score of anybody by far. Their championship score, let's add it up. MEAC women's basketball championship game. NEC women's soccer championship. NEC men's golf championship. Indoor and outdoor women's track and field. Softball champions. And I can't remember I forgot the other one that fast. But yes, it adds up to 7. So you add all of that up, that's 149. That's a pretty high score, but it's not good enough for first place because I'm sure you guys can tell by now, behold the green and gold. I'm going to miss Dawson Odom saying that during the MEAC coaches calls this fall. He said it better than anybody else. Hope Mike Vick gets this. Mike Vick doesn't do a bad job. Dawson Odom did a good job of saying it. But yes, Norfolk State, by the modified Stevens score metric, is the MEAC's top program for 2024-25. Their front porch score is 58, and that was carried by the men's and women's basketball programs winning the MEAC. The women won 30 games for the first time in school history, and 25 for the men, and 24 for the men, excuse me, and the football program won 4. And their standout score, when you add up all conference teams, because they had a ton of, all conference cross country, track and field runners and different things of that nature. And their championship score was 6. When you add up the fact that they won both ends of the cross country meet, they won the men's and women's basketball championships, and they won the men's outdoor and indoor track championships. So Norfolk State is your top MEAC school by the modified Stevens scoring system of 155. So please let me know what you think, and I'll get to some of these questions in the comments before we get to the other subject of the day, if I can pull myself back up correctly. Neither is this. Okay, that is. All right. So this is an interesting question from Damascus Luton. What if the MEAC and the CIAA made a trade in Coppin State and UMES for Virginia State and Fayetteville State? That's not going to happen because neither one of those 2 schools that you mentioned want to come up to Division I. It's not going to happen. Nobody in the CIAA is willing to risk losing their good situation because the CIAA is one of the top conferences in all of Division II. Not on the East Coast, not in HBCU spheres, but in all of Division II. They have a great situation. They have great locations for their championship games. They have 13 strong member institute. Well, 12 now, since St. Aug's is kind of like, 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on a banana peel, as my grandmother would say. But just to give you guys a little bit of context to this. Once upon a time, it only cost you $4 million to move up to Division I. That has changed. It is now at least $20 million to move up to Division I. And I don't think either of those schools, Virginia State, Fayetteville State, Boise State, anybody that people are begging to move up from the CIAA to the MEAC has $20 million in the tuck. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. So it's a nice thing to discuss, but I don't know if it's really going to happen. Ken Rashad chimes in on the UMS thing, said UMS said the University of Maryland system has a history of underfunding HBCUs that is making the promise of football and rising enrollment unattainable. Yeah, we in trouble, man. We are absolutely in trouble. And Ken gives a link to the story if you guys want to check that out. I'll leave that up while I'm talking. Yeah, UMS HBCUs are in trouble, man. Like we just saw what happened with Florida A&M. And if you guys missed that particular discussion on this HBCU Sports YouTube channel, just go back to our YouTube channel and you can check out our weekly edition of the Roundtable where myself, Kendrick Marshall, and Jared Hoffman, and shouts out to Stephen Campbell, who came on and really gave, as a Florida A&M alum, gave us all the nitty gritty behind this MAGA president that Ron DeSatan has installed as president. So if you missed that, but yeah, HBCUs are in trouble, man, especially the government funded ones. If you're an alum of a state funded HBCU, you need to be on high alert because these people have gone absolutely loco. Like, look at what's happening. Silas, this is what's happening with Tennessee State. They can't go to the MEAC because they don't have the money. And it's easy. I mean, it's just it's a logistics thing. Like Nashville to Dover, it's hard. Nashville, I guess Nashville to Orangeburg, Nashville to Durham ain't that hard, but the further north you get, the more expensive things become. That includes travel. That includes lodging. That includes meals. That includes any gas, bus rentals, plane tickets, anything you want to name. It just gets more and more expensive the further north you come. It's always been like that. So I can't imagine that any of these schools that are being mentioned would just sort of, give up their good situation for whatever, coming to the MEAC. And I mean, the MEAC, let me get to A&T Roy's point real quick. Shouts out to him. He said, Norfolk only won because we weren't there. Now, a Norfolk State, North Carolina A&T women's championship game would have fed families, okay? Like, people would have eaten for years off of Terrell Robinson versus Robert Jones and Diamond and Mimi versus Shaq Clark and all of those girls that A&T has. Like, that would have fed families. That would have been a game that would have been on ESPN. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. And I was very disappointed that A&T did not win the Coastal this year on the women's side because they look like the best team in the Coastal all the way up until the conference tournament. I don't even know what happened. I didn't even get a chance to see what happened. I just saw that they lost, and I was like, what? It's tough, man. It's tough. But one thing, I had a chance to talk to Coach Robinson. And once again, I want to thank him for coming on, doing an interview with me earlier this year. One thing he's going to do is regroup and recruit. So I feel like A&T is in this for the long haul. And I don't think that they'll be, a team that you should worry about dropping off anytime soon. Because as long as Terrell Robinson is there, they're going to be in good shape. But yes, that would have been a great championship game, actually. A&T versus Norfolk State. I don't know about the men, though. I don't know if there's a program in the MEAC right now that can compete with what Robert Jones is doing with, just being able to plug and play guys from the portal. Live for Hoops had a great tweet about how Robert Jones attacks the portal after being attacked by the portal. And he does a great job. Like, he lost the Conference Player of the Year in 2024. He said, okay, I'll bring in another kid. And that kid makes first team All-MEAC 2025. He leaves. And then Coach Jones goes right back in the portal. So If there's one person who's figuring out this portal business, it's Robert Jones. And I don't know what Howard is going to look like, especially after losing Blake Harper and Bryce Harris. I mean, Coach Blakeney, he's a great coach. He's got his work cut out for him. But as I spoke to Torrey Tyson last week about, Howard kind of sells itself. Howard, for me, is the school that I don't know where maybe you'd call them the North Carolina or the Duke of the MEAC, possibly. That would be the best bet for me. Maybe like Michigan, like what Michigan and Ohio State are to the Big Ten. That's what Howard is to the MEAC. That's why everybody was absolutely, crapping bricks when Howard was flirting with the Patriot League a few years ago. Because if Howard left, there wouldn't be a MEAC. Guaranteed. We would not be sitting here today talking about a MEAC and more if Howard had left for the Patriot League. I promise you. Everybody was worried about DSU going to the NEC, and they still might need to be worried about that. But if Howard left for the Patriot League, it would have been scary hours for the MEAC. Because how do you replace a Howard? Let's see here. Shout out to my guy Stuttering Noob. Tennessee State to any school in the OVC is an easy ride for all travel compared to the swag of MEAC. I don't think the football and basketball ticket sales can make up a difference. No, they can't. No, they can't. Because there's just not enough money, to say that. Because respect to my school. And I was really annoyed when a former FAMU AD, Courtney Gaucher, said that the travel to Dover, Delaware was a bit much. I thought he was being funny. And I was like, you don't be funny with my school, buddy. But he's right. Because there's no airport in Dover, Delaware. Well, there's the Air Force Base, but they're not going to let you fly into the Air Force Base. So you have to either fly into Philly International, Reagan, or BWI, then drive into Dover. That's what every MEAC school has done since, I don't know, the 70s or 80s. So, yeah, I can't imagine Tennessee State saying, okay, we'll fly to Philly International, take another hour, 15 hour, 20 ride down to Dover to play a football game or a basketball game, then come back and go right back home for a home. And but the way the schedule works, they probably would just keep right on to UMES and then go to Morgan and Coppin and Howard and then fly back home from BWI. I don't know how it would work, but I just don't see it happening right now. Silas asks, is it time for North Carolina A&T and Hampton to realize they should come back to the MEAC? A&T is not coming back. A&T is fine where they are. They like where they're at. Hampton, I'm a little less certain about. Like, I feel like if Hampton had the right overtures thrown their way, they would come back. But I don't think A&T is coming back. Not in this lifetime. Not in our lifetimes, I don't think. They've invested too much. They want to prove a point. And it's going to look a lot better for them next year because a lot of the schools that Richmond's only leaving for football only, but they've never really been that much of a player in any of the other sports. UD is done, and we'll talk about UD in a minute. UD is now a member of Conference USA. Yeah. Watching this unfold in my backyard has been very interesting, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And yeah, Hampton, I feel like if that MEAC came to Hampton with something tantamount to flowers and candy and maybe a promise ring, whatever that looks like from a sports negotiation standpoint, maybe Hampton comes back, but I don't see A&T coming back. I do not see A&T coming back. Alexander Wilson says, don't forget that some coaches are using the portal so much that they are neglecting high school recruiting. Yes. Okay, so let me tell you guys a little backstory about me. Not only do I do this, I also cover local high school basketball here in Delaware. And parents are spooked because their athletes are not getting the letters that they used to get prior to the portal business. Like every coach now is just like dipping into the portal, whether it's a JUCO, NAIA, Division I, Division II, Division III. It's scary hours for these high school kids. I'm gonna tell you, like, if you're not a college ready prospect, like if you don't present as somebody who can help a college coach right away, you might be in trouble when it comes to recruiting. There aren't many coaches willing to take a flyer on a high school project anymore, and that's in any sport. Like you could definitely say that for basketball. You could definitely say it for football. But now you're going to say it about your Olympic sports, like your volleyball, your soccer, your cross country, your track, your field hockey. It's tough to be a high school kid right now if you're a high school athlete. And like I said, I cover high school basketball here in Delaware, and these kids just feel so discouraged. And that was the side effect of the portal, was that high school recruiting was going to just fall off a cliff, because now you got coaches that figure, okay, I missed on this kid the first time around. He's not happy there. I can bring him here. That's what we're doing now. Like, I can tell you, I covered maybe 50 or 60 high school basketball games in Delaware this year. I can count the number of college scouts of all levels that I saw on one hand. It's rough out here for these high school kids. I feel sorry for them, because I know a lot of these kids felt like that basketball scholarship or, financial aid plan was going to be their way out. And it still can be, but I feel like a lot of high school kids are going to have to reevaluate their goals. Like, a lot of kids always say, I just want to go Division I. And there are plenty of Division I high school athletes out there. Don't get it wrong. There was a kid that I covered last year who worked his way into the starting lineup at Temple by the midpoint of the season. So there are Division I high school athletes out there, but there aren't that many. So these kids these kids and their parents, most importantly, because the parents, respectfully, I've talked to some delusional parents, man. I've talked to some delusional parents. They feel like if their kid doesn't go D1, then it's a failure. No. What you really want is somebody to pay for at least half of your education. If you can get that through grants, loans, scholarships, and they offer those. If you get somebody to pay for at least half your schooling, then you're doing better than most. So use that. So that's why I tell these high school kids and their parents, to an extent, make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do in the classroom, because those D1 scholarships that you thought were in the bag, that bag has fallen apart and is just twisting it, and the scholarship is just twisting in the wind somewhere. And yeah, Alexander's right. The portal has hurt high school kids. And he says, you have high school kids in Delaware who travel and go to high schools in DC for exposure. Crazy travel time. Yeah. Like, one of the best high school class of 2027s in the country, Giselle Banks, Gigi, who I had a chance to cover for the first 3 years of her high school career. If you guys have not had a chance to see Gigi Banks yet, just do your Googles. You won't be disappointed. She's already won State Player of the Year twice. She's won a state championship. She scored 1,000 points in about 60 games, maybe 40 or 50. Like, she was the truth. And now she's going to play the rest of her high school ball in Virginia, in the DMV area. The game ain't what it used to be, folks. And that absolutely applies to college as well. Silas says, is A&T making that much revenue in the conference that they are in? I don't think that they would be, sticking around if they weren't. I mean, because A&T, they have a strong alumni base. I don't know. I don't want to say they're the strongest among our HBCUs, because we have some proud alumni bases that give back, but A&T absolutely just, their folks pour in to those kids in that in those programs in that school. So I feel like A&T is fine. They like where they are. Not going to begrudge them for that. But again, I feel like if you could twist Hampton's arm a little bit, or sweet talk them a little bit, they might come back. But A&T, I highly, highly doubt it. And yeah, Stutter Newt makes a great point. HBCUs are not the fallback for some athletes anymore. It's tough to watch this, man, because we talk about in passing how integration really kind of, tripped our schools up. And now you have this second wave. Now, after integration, you have player empowerment. And I'm not a person who hates player empowerment at all, because we have coaches, athletic directors, and university presidents and commissioners who made trillions off of the backs of these young kids back in the day. If these kids want to get paid now, and if they feel like they're in an undesirable situation and they want to do their thing, so be it. I haven't, Alexander, but I'm just guesstimating here. Like I'm not saying that I have any inside information, if that's what you're asking. I don't. But I feel like if the MEAC went to Hampton with a nice enough offer, that I think Hampton would consider it. I could be wrong, but as far as if you had to make me pick, if you gun to my head, and please don't put a gun to my head. I like living. I'll be 44 in September. I'm happy I got this far. But gun to my head, if you had to make me pick between which two of those schools would go back to the MEAC, I think Hampton will go back before A&T does. I just don't see A&T moving off their square at all. A&T Roy says they're in the black, and he's an alum. I trust his word. So if A&T in the black, they ain't going back. But yeah, the MEAC is just in a really tough spot right now, because you can't ask UMES and Coppin to add football. The Chicago State thing was a pie in the sky dream anyway, but now the Chicago State is firmly in the Northeast Conference. That's not going to happen. You can't ask Tennessee State to move, because just the logistics of it just works out better for them in the Big South OVC. And you can't ask any of the CIAA Mid-Atlantic region, Southern schools to move up, because why are they gonna overextend themselves? We saw it happen with Winston-Salem State. They said, "Oh no, this ain't for us. We're going back." Savannah State, it took a little while longer, but they went back as well to Division II. So you just can't. I don't think there's anything that says that A&T is ready for. I mean, I don't think there's anything that says that the MEAC is ready for expansion right now. I would love to be wrong. I would absolutely love to be wrong. Hopefully you guys forgive me. I'm working on something real quick, trying to find this last topic so I can add to the screen here. And I didn't mean to put it on the screen right now, but I still want to give you guys my MEAC thoughts. I don't see, unless there's just like this total groundswell of a change in how the NCAA does business. And the NCAA is not going to change how they do business, because they're just as greedy as the day is long. But I just don't see a pathway to expansion for the MEAC. I do not. I mean, I would love to be wrong. I would love for A&T and Hampton to come back. I would love for Bowie State or Virginia State or Fayetteville State to move up. I would love that. As a guy who grew up as a journalist in this conference, I would love to have the MEAC, have 10, 12 teams again for basketball, 8 or 9 for football. Would love it. But I just don't see it happening. I just do not see it happening. Just look at how the money has changed so quickly. Like I said, once upon a time, the move up fee from Division II, Division I was $4 million. Now it's closer to 15, 20. No HBCU has that type of money laying around at the Division II level. Not even HBCUs. Some HBCUs at the Division I level even had that sort of money just laying around somewhere. Say, "Oh wow, here's an extra $20 million. Hey, let's go play in the MEAC." Nope. Those folks are not coming back when you have nothing to offer. Damn, Steven. Damn. Just coming here and throwing shots at my conference. Good Lord. But I mean, I get it, because the MEAC, when you look at football, when you look at the Celebration Bowl, I mean, the Celebration Bowl was probably the best thing to happen to the MEAC. And hand to God, I was against the Celebration Bowl when they first announced it. I said, this is BS. Why are we leaving the FCS playoffs? We are going to be a sideshow. This is going to be ridiculous. And it turns out to be the best thing for the MEAC and the SWAC. Oops, my bad. But I just don't know what the MEAC is going to do moving forward. And again, if either the Northeast, because Howard has, built a very strong relationship with the Northeast when you consider that they are winning women's soccer championships and golf championships, and they have a women's lacrosse program in there. Delaware State's women's lacrosse program and the women's soccer programs in the NEC as well. And the 4 baseball schools that we had left, Norfolk State, UMES, Delaware State, and Cobbin State are in the Northeast Conference. So if you think the Northeast Conference isn't planning for any sort of, well, even though they just added, I can't remember which Division II from Connecticut they just added. I don't think it was New Haven. I could be wrong. It might be New Haven. Somebody can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I just don't see how the MEAC lasts a lot long. They can't withstand another defection. Put it like that. Again, if the Northeast Conference comes calling for DSU, if the Patriot or somebody else comes calling for Howard, we're going to be talking about the MEAC in the past tense. What happens with the other schools? They'll probably just have to go like SoCon, Big South, whatever. But it's not going to be pretty. It is not going to be pretty. I'm absolutely stunned that this hasn't been a concern of anybody in our circle yet. I'm absolutely stunned that nobody has even, brought that up. It's a possibility, Alexander. It is a possibility. I mean, and I love the MEAC. Again, I started covering MEAC football and basketball in 2002. I mean, I'm talking about, when we had, but this was Buddy Pugh's first year coaching South Carolina State on the football side. We had Sal Alexander was coaching the South Carolina State men. Kathy Parson was coaching the Howard women, like on the basketball side. Like, I've been in this conference forever. Like, I joke all the time about Michelle Jinks, who is the director of media relations for the Celebration Bowl now. She was the director of MEAC relations for the media relations for the MEAC when I was a student reporter. That woman didn't take no mess then. I mean, everybody talks about how she don't take no mess now. She didn't take no mess then. But she was always, I mean, every time we went to the MEAC basketball championships in Richmond, man, she took care of the media, dog. We had good food. We had courtside seats. If you didn't have a press pass, you had to get the bleep off of press row. Michelle Jinks ain't no joke, man. And I salute her. So, yeah, but I've been associated with this conference in one form or another for more than half of my life. And I don't know if it has a strong future. I do not. Like, I don't know what it would take for the MEAC to get to at least 8 football schools and 10 or 12 basketball schools again. But everyone just that just keeps suggesting that, CIAA moves up or Chicago State comes on board or Tennessee State comes on board. Neither of those schools are willing to give up their good situations for the MEAC. Just is what it is. So maybe hearts will change, maybe minds will change, maybe funds will change, but the MEAC is what it is right now. And I don't envy Sonia Still's job at all. I mean, she's a wonderful person. She does a great job with the media, and she's a present commissioner. I don't know if I could say that about Dennis Thomas so much, but I could say that about Commissioner Still. She is present. So they got some work to do. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm sure they've got some plans in place, or they're formulating some plans. But yes, last topic for the day before we sign off, because I have not eaten today. I am hungry and I need to eat before I return to the HBCU Sports Chat to pitch some stories. This was an interesting tag that our HBCU Sports Twitter feed received today. And this is from Updog Sports Talk. Exciting non-conference games that aren't being talked about enough. Delaware football versus Delaware State football. The Route 1 rivalry. According to this particular Twitter user, despite both programs having a long history of playing football, their first matchup was until 2007. I have a story about that. I'll talk about that in a minute. Delaware's first game as an FBS program. And Deshaun Jackson, Deshaun Jackson's first game as the head coach at Delaware State. The season opener between two in-state foes carries a special meaning for both programs this year. It's a new beginning for both programs. Delaware begins their venture at the FBS level, and Delaware State has new energy around the program with Deshaun Jackson as their head coach. It will be fun to see what these two teams look like. I'm gonna go out on a limb here as I remove this from the chat. I'm gonna go on the rim here. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this might be DSU's best chance to get UD, because UD looked weak last year. And yes, having extra scholarships is probably going to help, but a transition year from FCS to FBS, or as it used to be 1AA to 1A, is always a challenging year. It is always a challenging year. So I feel like if this is the chance, because I don't think UD is going to put DSU on the schedule too many more times now that they're too big for FCS. So I feel like this might be DSU's best chance to sneak UD. I really do. And I'm talking about a 1-10 football team against the team that finished. I think UD finished either 7-4 or 6-5 last year. I feel so bad for this man. I'll share my thoughts about Joe at the end. But yeah, that would be nice. I would like that. I would like that. But yes, the Watcher brings up a great point about the MEAC. I think they need to hire a person to bring more income in for the conference. Yeah, you probably need a fundraiser type, but what does that look like? That's something you have to sort of ask yourself when you put these when you start thinking about things like that. Okay, so what kind of fundraising do we want to do? Do we want to increase sponsorships? Do we want to increase alumni spending? Do we want to seek out angel investors? Do we want to seek out? I mean, there's so many different ways you can go about it. Just avoid hemp farmers. That's all I'm saying. Just avoid hemp farmers. Don't. If a dude says he has a multi-million-dollar hemp farm, don't do it. Don't do it. Just because he don't mean your school no good. Guaranteed. But yes. I feel like this is DSU's best chance to sneak UD because I don't think they're going to play too many more times after this. And what better way to send them off than with an L? It really depends on what that Deshaun Jackson team looks like because he's been very evasive, if you will, about building this program. It wasn't a shot, Steven. I promise. I promise it wasn't a shot. I was just saying that the hemp farmer, is bad news. I'm saying FAMU is bad news. I said the hemp farmer is bad news. If a hemp farmer that dresses like Plankton from SpongeBob SquarePants and doesn't even put the mask on his face right, comes up to you and says, I want to give $250 million to your school, run. Don't turn around. Don't look back. Run. Because he's a problem. And and he ain't the first scam artist. And damn sure won't be the last. But, okay. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist by nature. I'm not. But I'll put my tinfoil hat on for this. What if Gregory Jeremy or Jeremy Gregory or whatever was sent by Ron DeSantis? Think about that. I'm just asking the question. I'm leaving it up to y'all to interpret. Because where does a dude who just randomly pops up and says, oh, I have $237 million for your institution, where does he come from? It's a CON conspiracy. If you've ever watched In Living Color, you know where that's from. But yes, back to the point. I'm really looking forward to seeing that DSU UD game. I'm going to try to get credentials for it. I probably should start now so I can get credentials for that game so I can be there for HBCU sports. But overall, just the history of the MEAC, Steven says it. He is the reason we got MAGA Marvin. So, yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's a setup, dog. It's a setup, bro. It's absolutely a setup, and I hope Florida A&M is able to rally the troops and get that woman in that Pepe Le Pew wig on her head out of the paint before it's too late. Gregory Jeremy want to party, and you got to tell him no. Shout out to Ida Watcher for that Cat Williams reference. Love to see it. Alexander Wilson says Raymond James warned FAMU of the validity of that donation, but FAMU ignored the warning. They could have nipped this in the bud, but egos got in the way. Listen, HBCUs, we got to take the money where we can, which is why nobody batted an eye when Diddy donated $1 million to Jackson State and Howard, but then Howard came out not too long ago and said that man never gave us the money. Did Jackson State get the money? Kendrick Marshall? Check it. But yeah, I mean, HBCUs, we got to find the funding where we can because we're not going to get it from the federal and state governments, apparently. We've been underfunded to the tune of trillions since the Land Grant Act of 1890. Gotta figure it out, man. And Silas agrees with me. Silas agrees with me. I wouldn't be surprised. After all, I didn't see 47 getting elected again. Yo, Elon Musty bought that election, dog. Musty bought that election. Absolutely. Because Kamala Harris just had everything rolling for her. Also, VP. Respectfully. Yeah. Doug Emhoff is one of the luckiest men walking the planet. I don't know what I don't know how he got her, but he got her. And I salute you, Doug Emhoff. I salute you. Whew, Lord have mercy. Anyway, let's go ahead and sign off for the day. So yeah, this is going to do it for this edition of the MEAC and More with Chris Stevens. Greatly appreciate y'all's time as always. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, become a level 1 or level 2 member at $4.99 a month. You can get all the HBCU athletics news that's fit to broadcast, as we like to give it to you. Don't forget, you can follow us on all manners of social media. We are on the Musty app. We are on Blue Sky. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Threads. Just search for HBCU Sports. If you are so inclined and would like to donate, be sure to go to the Zelle app and type in donate at hbcusports.com and drop your coins there. Or you can go straight to the website, hbcusports.com/donate. Drop your coins there. And don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter, because if you subscribe to the newsletter, Ken Rashad might give you a t-shirt. But if you don't want to wait for Ken Rashad for a giveaway, just go to the HBCU Sports shop and put in the code HBCU Sports 15 and get 15% off of anything that you buy from the HBCU Sports store. We got t-shirts, we got hats, we got coffee mugs coming, because I've been begging for a coffee mug. I can't wait to drop my HBCU Sports coffee mug on this channel in the fall when we're talking football. So thank y'all for watching. Greatly appreciate y'all's time as always. Until the next time we speak, y'all take care of yourselves and each other. Oh yes, Memorial Weekend. What y'all putting on the grill? I don't know if I'm going to put something on the grill, because I live in an apartment and I don't want to, set my building on fire. I can cook, but I just don't have a place to grill. But if anybody in Wilmington, Delaware got a burnt hot dog and some baked beans for your boy, hit me up. All right, y'all enjoy your weekend.